It's going to go on there. Webinar is now streaming live on Facebook, so you're good. Okay,
right at 4:44.
There you go. You can't make this shit up. All right, so let me see. I'm rebooting. It's going to take a second.
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay.
Let me get you on. Let me get you on. Make sure that we're on. And then okay, so you're live. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this to. I don't think they don't let you do these damn watch parties anymore, but I'll share it to my page.
Yeah, I might as well share it to mine too.
It's on your page. It's already on your page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when you do that, you're going to be live on your page. And then what I used to do is because I multi-stream now. So what I would do is when I would start, I would then. I'm actually going to share this to 10 groups. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, let me just pick some good ones. Let's see. That way you'll get more exposure. Here we go. All right, so what I used to do was I would, as soon as I started it, I would open up a separate window. I think it actually opens for you. You just have to make sure and turn the volume down on your, if you have a Facebook window open.
Okay.
There's a lag. What I used to do was once I went live, then I would go to my different pages. I'd go to my page, to where the live was. And then I would go to share, and then I would share to my other pages. So I'm going to turn this on and see what I would do too is I would have my phone. I would go to the live on my phone, mute the phone, put it up here on the like next to my screen so I could see the comments.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that way you can see the comments while you're, okay. So, and I'm actually going to go to your page. I'm going to go to your page and watch it because that's where it's originating. You'll only be able to see the comments from the people on your page.
Okay.
Now, another thing you can do if you have your device in your hand is you can go to the three dots across from Richard Sandylenz's live, and you can click Edit Post, and you can then type in the name of the program and your guest. All right. So anyway, I'm on your page. Okay. I'm watching. You got 14 people on.
Are you like, what do you have on your computer screen? Is it the Zoom app?
On my screen, I have the Zoom app, but I have another computer to my right, and I have your page open on the Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're good.
For my Zoom app is like really small for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay, so here's what you do. You've got a bunch of windows open. I saw it. What you do is the bottom right is your Zoom icon, right? On the bottom, you should see a Zoom icon somewhere. You click the Zoom icon and pull up the Zoom. You want to pull up the Zoom picture or the Zoom window.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now pick up the Zoom
window.
window.
There we go. Got it.
Now, if you're okay, so you're good. You're not hearing the Facebook live going. You're not hearing my voice.
No, I just hear you. Yeah, it sounds clear.
Yeah, you're good. All right. So you got 19 people in the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. And that's, so you got 18, 19 people in the house. And
I'm not supposed to think about the people though, right? Because then I'm going to get all nervous.
Just get used to it.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not afraid to show my ass is another way to say I'm Saul. So you're putting it out there, and that's the most important thing. Okay.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks for the help, man. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you learn just by doing it. I believe
that's true.
And then when things go wrong, you're more calm as time goes on. But the first few times you'll sweat a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my God. Fear hit me last night at midnight.
Really?
Oh yeah. My mind was going crazy. My mind was going so crazy that I started to think I have COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm not sick or anything.
Oh my God. Yeah. Very cool.
Well, all right. So you want me to start asking you questions?
It's your show. You do whatever you want. Might want to tell people what you're doing or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, well, um, the show is called Zero Point. I guess maybe why I called it Zero Point.
Hmm.
Because when I was talking to you and you asked me what the obstacles were, like what was holding me up from just doing it.
Hmm.
And I had all these reasons why. And I don't know if you listened to all the reasons, but after I was done talking, you just said, yeah, you just need to 0 point all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that neutralize
Yeah.
all that anxiety and the trying to control things and plan things, stuff like that. And
There's one thing I didn't tell you, and I remember that. Yeah. You want to get yourself an Ethernet cord. Okay.
yeah, I could do that. Yeah, probably
I mean, you don't have to do it right now. You cut out a second ago, but you should be okay. But just for safekeeping, you want to get an Ethernet cord, unless you have just incredible all bars.
Right, and plug it right into my computer.
Yeah. This is the first place I've been that I haven't had to have an Ethernet cord. But when I move downstairs, I'm going to plug it in because that's where the modem is. But it's always safer to have the Ethernet cord.
Yeah,
And
I'll close some windows too. Maybe that helps.
Yeah.
I was still on the internet a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely want to close anything that's going to be sucking away bandwidth.
Okay.
Yeah. I just shut everything down. Another thing is your guest, if they don't have a headset,
yeah,
and they're in a room that has that doesn't have the best acoustics, then you're going to hear an echo.
right.
And what happens is their sound waves from their voice are bouncing off the walls. So you'll have to pause. Like when you ask a question, you have to pause because
Right.
I mean, after they've talked, because if you start talking while they're just through talking, you'll get an echo.
Yeah.
It's always better for them to use one of these. And other than that, the only other thing that might happen is sometimes you'll be with people who don't have the greatest bandwidth or signal, and there'll be a lag. So it'll sound like you're interrupting each other, but you're really not.
Yeah.
So, but you learn. The only way to learn is just to get out there and do it. It's like everything else. You got
Absolutely.
You got 24 people in the house. I think the first time I did when I had 2.
Well, I'm standing on your shoulders, so I appreciate it. Well, so how long have you started in 2015 with the Soulogy?
No, I started in, I was actually given the name, was actually given to me by Archangel Michael
Really?
and I didn't know her at the time, but it's on my wife's birthday on March the 10th, 2012. So that's when it started. Then 2 days later, I opened a Soulogy group on Facebook.
Okay. Oh, I could be saying it wrong. Soulogy.
Soulogy. Everybody
Soulogy,
says it.
yeah.
Everybody, not everybody. A lot of people say it wrong.
Yeah.
So
how long have you been interested in interviewing people, or why did you start it?
Because of my wife. So 2012. See, March of 2012, I started the Soulogy group, and I was homeless, and so I had I had a flip phone. Remember the flip phones?
Yeah.
So I had a flip phone that I got for $7 at McDonald's, and I used to write. I would write, right? I would write, and then I would upload the writings to Soulogy, and this went on for about a year and a half, and shortly after I started, there was a lady in the group that started putting my words to pictures. So that was pretty much it. And then 2013, the summer, I came off the streets and I got a laptop. So I started putting my own words to my own pictures and I did like about 1,200 memes or whatever you call them. And so then in 2014, so now it's a little over 2 years later, I got my own place with my 2 daughters. I had a townhouse, and I had just enough coming in to pay for it.
What state were you in?
In Houston, Texas.
Oh, Houston.
Houston, yeah. So then what happened was I went about 6 months continuing to make these images with my words on it. And
Wow. So it just started as memes. Wow.
started as just written word with no
Just written word.
images.
Yeah.
So then what happened was it was about the early part of 2014. No, that's when the summer of 2014 I got a place. So toward the end of the year, and all I had was this really old computer. And so I was doing that, and then like around December 2014, I got another download, and I was told, go downstairs and create a studio. And and I said, okay. I didn't have any furniture downstairs. I had one couch. So like in the next 5 days, like three people came by, my ex-wife, a couple other people. They had all this furniture. They gave it to me. Next thing I know, I had 5 couches. I had a little workstation in the corner. I got some $60 speakers at the pawn shop, and I had this old computer. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And they're like, well, music. It's got something to do with music. And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, figure it out. So what happened was I spent the early part of 2015, and actually I got the Soulogy One Studios download was actually around my wife's birthday too, and I still hadn't met her. It was in 2015.
Yeah. Better yet.
I hadn't met her, right? And so what ended up happening was I sat there with it for a long time. I still didn't have any equipment. And then I got ballsy and I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. So I got this old computer and I turned on the camera and I started recording. I just started doing stuff. The first one I did was called Soulogy Sermon on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
And I stood in front of the camera with some music in the background, and I started talking, just ad-libbing about how music, I compared music to religion. And I said, if you look at music, and because I'm really into music like you, and I'd be like, okay, look at this electronic DJ. He took this old blues guy, he added some electronic beats to it, and it's a remix. So they take what's existing and they expand it. So I did this 40-minute sermon, and I loaded up. I walked up to the grocery store because I didn't have internet, and I uploaded it on what must have been like 1G, okay, because it takes like 2 hours. So I did a few of those, and then I was sitting there, and one day, and now it's probably the summer of 2015, or like say April or May. I think it was like when I started doing the YouTube. So like say March, April, May, I did 4 Facebook Lives. And the first one was like 1 minute long. Right. And
better than nothing.
Yeah. And so then I did 3 more, and they were like spaced 3 weeks apart because I still didn't know what to do. Because it was scary. And by that time, my son's friend had come over and he had a phone. He had a smartphone. I'd never had a smartphone. And he gave me the smartphone, and I went to the corner store and I got it fixed for $40. And then that's what I used. About the same time, I got this opportunity to go to work because I'd been in the construction business at many levels, at a very high national levels, for a long time. I'd been out of it, and I ran into this guy at a restaurant where my daughter was attending a birthday party, and he was some big wig at one of the biggest, I think the biggest cabinet manufacturer in the country, was based in Houston. And he said, would you like to come to work? I said, sure, whatever. So I did, and they ended up giving me, I worked out of the house. They gave me all of this equipment, computers, big smartphone. And
that you're supposed to use for work, right? Not for your personal.
But I knew my job. I knew my job so well that I could do my job in like 3-4 hours a day.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So I spent the rest of the time, 10 hours in the studio, as I had been in seclusion. And I was doing a lot of shamanic stuff, I'm not going to deny it, drinking beer, smoking weed, and cooking for my kids, and just living life and doing this Soulogy thing, writing. But there was still in the back of my head, like, you got to do the music thing with the words, right? Mm-hmm. So one Friday night, my kids left, school's out, kids left. I think it was, I want to say it was May the 30th. No, I'm sorry. It was August the 30th because I met my wife September the 3rd. So it was 4 days before I met my wife. I'm sitting there I'm sitting on one of the couches on a Friday, and I sat on the couch from Friday to Sunday, not knowing what the hell to do. Right?
I've
And
been there.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sitting there for 2 days, 2.5 days. And finally I jumped off the couch. I went and put in, um, and I didn't have internet still.
Right.
I had, no, I had internet. Yes, I did. I had internet on the phone. And so what I did was I went and put, break on through to the other side by the doors.
Right.
I put it on. I put a do-rag on my head, and I pushed the button and I flipped on live, and I just started going, and I see that video every now and then, and it's pretty funny. But
Yeah, because you have a pretty extensive YouTube
mm,
page. You've uploaded just about
no,
every interview. No.
no. I've done over 4,000 video productions. So there's been a little over 2,000 Soul Speaks 5D episodes.
Okay.
The other 2,000 I did 400 videos in the first 9 months, right? So, I'm doing them all the time. I'm doing spirit walks.
Yeah, you're doing like multiple a day now, right?
Well, that was then I was doing that 409 months. So I was doing, one and a half a day or whatever the
Okay.
average.
Okay.
So what I did was I turned the music on, then I just started talking. Right. So then that
Yeah,
went
the music helps with the nerves, doesn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
So I got like break on through the other side playing, hey, I'm Todd Medina, Soulogy, 9/11 was a hoax. And, I just started going after it. And I was up and down a lot, because I was doing my thing, and, just whatever would possess me, I'd do it. I go out on the street, and I came up with this idea. Well, you know what? I'm going to do a spirit walk, because that's what I would call it. I went on a spirit walk for 2 years, and I thought I'm just going to do a spirit walk, and I'm going to turn on the live, and I'm going to just speak it, like what I'm going through, like what I used to do for myself, and I
Yeah.
share it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started doing that, and I did that for quite a while. Now I meet my wife, like I said, 4 days after the first real one, and we start talking. And so we start talking about ascension and galactic stuff. I never even talked about any of that stuff. The galactic stuff I never talked about. I didn't know anything about it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
she's basically an ET. So I learned through her. And so what ended up happening was we would have these long discussions about, like we do on Soul Speaks 5D. And this is like 3 months into it. And so she says to me, and I remember saying to her, God, we should record these conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so one thing led to another. That was 2015. The entire year, well, not the entire year, up until October the 13th of 2016, that's when I left Houston, left my life for good.
Mm.
We continued to interact. We continued to have a relationship, and there was a period of time we weren't talking and this and that and all that. But I continued to make the videos. And so I would say I left Houston October of 2016, October 13th, with nothing. I had nothing. And
Wow.
I actually came here to where I'm at now, and it was all coincidence, or whatever you want to call it, synchronicity.
Yeah. Synchronicity.
Yeah, I came to Van Buren, Arkansas with a sister, like a soul sister. And I got a room with her, and I just started making music. And I was still making videos, and I was making music. I had, by the way,
What instruments?
so what happened was it went from me putting the doors on and just ad-libbing to writing whole pieces, finding music, putting the music on. It could be classical, I did Beethoven, I did classical, I did rock, I did all kinds of music. I did bluegrass, and I would speak, I would speak spontaneously, freestyle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of it written, some of it wasn't written. So then I got the download, and this would have been like early 2016. I got the download to start making music videos. So I did. And that's really when I started to put stuff on YouTube, because I never was good
Yeah.
about that until the beginning of 2019. So anyway, I started to make, so I would write a piece, and then I would find some music, and then I'd push play, record, push record, and I would just do it one take. And then I would make a video, and then I would send it up. And I did about 65 of those.
Wow.
So then I hit the road, and in about 6 months from the time I hit the road, my wife, and I didn't know it, was going to come and meet me for the first time in the States, because we were on again, off again. She thought I was,
Is she not from the States?
No, she's from Australia.
Australia.
So she's
Oh,
in
wow.
Australia, and I meet this woman in Australia, and like I'm trying to figure all this shit out, right? So I came to Arkansas. I'm here 2 months. I made a bunch of music. Like, I was totally in the groove. And I went to, I got this download. I had $250 to my name, which I never had money. Somebody had sent me some money, or something happened. And I got expelled out of Van Buren, Arkansas. And I kept hearing, you got to go to New York City, And in my old life in the corporate world, I've been offered to go to New York, I think 3 times, and I always turned it down. I never want to go to New York.
Yeah.
Nothing. I wanted to do nothing with New York.
Concrete jungle.
Yeah. So what happened was, I had, all of a sudden, you know how it is, all these synchronicities happen. I got in touch with these people. Next thing I know, I spent $237, and I got $13 left, and I get on a bus, and I'm on a 36-hour bus trip to New York City. Now, at this time, there might have been 8,000, 12,000 people following on the different pages, right? And just to give you some contrast, there's probably 85,000 hard numbers now, right? So I get on this bus, 36 hours. It's the middle of winter. I ain't got everything I got is basically the clothes on my back, a couple of suitcases, whatever. And I just, every time we stopped the bus, I'd get out and I'd do a video. Hey, this is
nice.
what I'm doing. So I'm on the bus. By the time I get to New York, people and I hadn't asked, people were sent me $800.
Wow. And
I land there and I think, oh my God, I'm on this now. I've aligned. Everything's going to be great. I'm not going to be broke.
Yeah, you're on your path. Yeah.
So I ended up staying with this lady and her son, and I did some work there. It was all meant to be. I was there about a week. I gave them all my money, and I got kicked out. It was just a misunderstanding, whatever, So now I've got $2 in my pocket. I'm sitting in a park, and it's probably December the 20th, solstice time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's snowing, and I'm from the South.
Yeah.
And so
you're really happy.
Yeah. So I remember I was sitting there, and I'd been through so much stuff. I was pretty calm about it. And so I was sitting in this park, and I had a ticket. I had a subway ticket. And so I had enough to get down to Grand Central Station. So because I figured if I got down to Grand Central Station, I can just turn on my phone for the music and just sing and dance or whatever the hell I got to do.
That's a cool energy there, though.
Well, yeah, it's different, And so I went down there. This dude reached out to me. Long story short, I ended up going to his place. He's with his family, Dominican family, World War II apartment building in the Bronx. And he gave me a room. And at that point, I started to try to bring in, I had done a few interviews, maybe 20 or 30.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to bring these people together, and we started to do some collaborations, and it went on for maybe 4 or 5 weeks. And then there was too much agenda, and I just said, everybody, I'm blowing this up. I'm out of here. So then I started I went to Connecticut and Philly and just different places. People offered me a place to stay, and I just and I started broadcasting. Now, the reason I started to broadcast or to have a talk show is because my wife told me, oh, you do all these videos, and maybe you should start talking to other people because it's not all about you.
Mind blowing. Yeah.
Right. Well, unbeknownst,
women are always socializing men, aren't they?
Right. I mean, unbeknownst to me, around 2008, which would have been, 7 years before I met her, Now she's getting downloads like a lot of these women for many, many years. And one of the things that came to her, she says she wanted to create a place where everybody could share their experiences, their skills, their talents, and their abilities and their stories.
Yeah.
So she had actually created that in the energetic field 7 or 8 years before.
Wow.
Anyway, so the way she delivered it to me in the human part of it was, why don't you make this about more than just yourself? Right.
Yeah.
So I started to interview people, and I started to do it like with a vengeance. I remember being in Connecticut. There was 3 feet of snow. I'm still making the videos outside, the spirit walks in the snow, but I was doing like 3, 4, 5 shows a day, and she actually did one with me, but she didn't put her face on the screen. She was just like a blank spot. Right?
Yeah, she didn't want to be seen.
No,
just heard. Yeah, I know people like that.
Yeah, and so by now she's planning on coming, and she comes. And she was here for 10 weeks, 2017. I go to Houston, I go to Arkansas, I go to Utah, I go to Connecticut. I mean, she leaves and I don't have any money, and how are we going to be together? And 9 months go by and I'm still broadcasting, and I'm up around 350 episodes of Soul Speaks 5D, which she named, by the way. So she comes to Atlanta, and when she came to Atlanta, we were there about five or 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks. And she said, I'm like, all this stuff started happening. Like, we had Star Family materialize in our bedroom. We watched each other morph into all these different incarnations. We had all this stuff like that was happening. This big portal opened up over the property we were at. I mean, all this incredible stuff started happening.
Yeah, cosmic stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, she said, I'm going to take this over. So she started scheduling people and got a couple of people to help as well. And we started to get, like, we were doing like 85, 95, 100 shows a month. Like, I had days where I was doing 6 shows a day. And I was going like 6, 7 days a week. Boom, 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 And we were getting people on that had been leaders in the community for a long time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
People like Magenta Pixie and Sandra Walter and just lots of people, but also the regular people, which is, to me, everybody. So we went from 350 to that was in the summer of 2018 to over 2,000 episodes. So that's what, 1,700. It's like 60, average of 60 shows a month, which I probably do about 45 now. So that's how it happened. And, that's how it happened. And we've been trying to, I downloaded really about 2015. I started to download the Soulogy network. Right after the Soulogy One Studios, 2016 comes around, I started being told Soulogy network, and they would show me like a big, it looked like a checkerboard, but without the color. And they would show me, just fill it up with programming. And I thought, well, how the hell am I going to do that? I mean, I've got like, I probably had like maybe 1,000 videos at the time. Do I just plug my stuff in and push a button?
Oh, stuff that was already recorded.
Well, I didn't know. That's what I perceived it as, because you know how you get that stuff in and you think, oh, I'm supposed to do something right now, but it may not be what you think. And so anyway, long story short, I started to be shown that it would be a place that would be uncensored, where it's a network. It's multiple channels, a multiple endless number of channels that's free. Soulogy's always been free, and they always will be, where people can create their own programs like you're doing, can create their own channels if they have enough archival material. And, people can find practitioners. I mean, it's just this place, kind of like a combination of a Facebook, a YouTube, a Wikipedia, and a directory, And
should I be recording this, by the way? Do you
no,
record?
It's recorded.
It's recorded on Facebook.
And then I'll show you how to download it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So then I also got this download about how it would be part of the team that would create 5D commerce on the earth, which is based on gifting forward on the honor system, and paying it forward.
Service to others type of, yeah.
So
rather than
that's,
doing things for the
yeah.
money.
So I had a couple of dry runs, a couple of launches that didn't take off, and I had to like let go of a lot of stuff, and um, and so what ended up happening was I just let go of it. Last May I was going to launch it, and I had three other people, my wife included, were involved, and they said that we don't think it's right, and I'm like, okay, well I'm going to let go of that, and I'm going to follow the consensus or the majority rule. So I kind of let go of it, and I had to do a lot of letting go of 3D business type practices. I used to have a pretty
Yeah.
long, extensive corporate career, and I did a lot of that kind of stuff and built businesses and bought businesses and started businesses and all that stuff. But so I had to let go of all that, and that's where we are today. So like,
Why did you feel like you had to let go of it? Because it just wasn't in line with where you wanted to go?
At the time, I mean, of course, I've got her, and she's like a oracle, right? It's
Yeah.
a lot of feminine art, and I
Yeah.
have my own experience. There was a whole dance of masculine and feminine energy. I didn't understand it all at the time, but I realized that I had to let go. First of all, I couldn't be in total control like a czar. Two, I had to allow the feminine energy to come in, which wasn't just represented by her. There was a lot of downloads that came in. That second time she came, when it really took off and she took over the content or the substance, and I just had to show up and sit in the chair and do my job. There was a download that came in, and it was basically Soulogy. Soulogy came in. We were laying in the bed one afternoon connecting, and Soulogy came in and said, "I am a third energy. You birthed me. Um, you're caretakers of this consciousness that you call Soulogy. There'll be other aunties and uncles that will come and feed it. Um, but I'm going to be working with you now. I'm in and of myself a separate consciousness that works in like a trinity or a triad with you." And so part of that evolution was that I had to like get in, I had to become more balanced, like we all do.
Yeah.
And so this continued on. So, we came over to the States last year, or to the mainland from Hawaii, where we thought we were going to live, but then we were told you got to go now. We went all over the place, and then we ended up back here where it started when I left in Van Buren, Arkansas, and everything seems to be falling in line now, including connecting with you. And so I see we actually have a brother or a family, a soul family over here, that the man in the family over there is my brother, Aaron Pearson, and he's a tech wizard, and he's building from scratch the network. He's got over 1,000 pages of computer language already done.
Wow.
And he's working on that. We're looking at having a bridge until it's ready, because it'll be private server, private stream, private storage. Everything is private outside of the restrictions or constrictions of the matrix.
Yeah.
The only thing we'll be dependent on will be the bandwidth coming in. And that's pretty much it.
So what's the benefit of that compared to how you're doing it now?
Well, if you look, for example, like the way you just set up today for your first show.
Yeah.
You set up for your first show and you're going live on one Facebook page. Okay. Now you can go.
Oh, getting a bigger reach. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you can now, so there's some multi-streaming services out now, and I use one of them. And now I'm on 5 platforms every time that we broadcast live. Each one of them's live, right? YouTube and 3 Facebook pages and Zoom. So what would the advantage be? It would be huge, because what you would do is you would have one website, one URL address that would originate all programming. So it would be Soulogy One Studios, it will be Zero Point, it will be Freedom Network, it'll be, let's say you get a collective of initially say 10 different networks that all now broadcast from the same URL. And you might have 2, 3, 4, 5 channels running 24 hours a day with tapes.
This is Fig, by the way, who wants to say hi.
I'm digging
The black cat's hard to see, right?
No, I can see her. But basically, what it would do is it would allow people to access free as contributors. Uh, there would be no censorship. It would also allow, which is even more important, for all of these different um, tents to be under one tent, not
Oh
because
yeah.
okay. And what happens there is just like we operate on the abundance of contributions. We put up a comment after every show, and it's not been easy, but
Yeah.
it's working the way the universal energy is working, which is basically, hey, you're okay today, don't worry about tomorrow, because if you worry about tomorrow, it's not going to be there. You just have faith, it'll be there. But what happens is, if anyone that knows anything about the internet knows that internet commerce is proportionate to the amount of traffic you have.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can imagine, Soulogy has, let's just say, 100,000 people base, okay? And then you have, and I won't get into names, but I mean, say you have another 10 or 12 people who, like, say, one's got 100,000 on YouTube, one's got 50,000 on Facebook, and one's got 50,000 on their website, and you bring them all to one place. And then you take their archives and their live shows, and you originate them from here while you simulcast or multi-stream onto the conventional matrix platforms. Well, if somebody watches it on Facebook and it's originating from this URL gets credit.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is we continue to operate off the abundance of contributions. And when the abundance comes in, it's transparent and it is disseminated proportionate to the amount of viewership or contribution. So if somebody comes in and has a channel and it's 7% of the viewership on a given period of time, and $100,000 comes in, they get paid $7,000. All they have to do is plug in, create their channel tape, their replays,
Mm-hmm.
and come in and push pause, plug in their live, and then when the live's over, push play. So
it's just continuously looping. Yeah. And then
every channel theoretically is continuously looping 24 hours a day. When we start it, it'll be at least one channel, which we're going to build a little bridge between the permanent, totally private one. We're going to build a little bridge in between, which will probably be for a 2 or 3 month period. When you go to that page, there'll be a channel. Okay. It'll be channel 1, and it'll be running 24 hours a day. And then, of course, we'll add a handheld accessible and that type of thing. But this is something that's come through a download for 5 years. And there's a lot of elements to it. You said, what did you have to let go of? I had to let go of the linear time aspect. I had to let go of the false masculine or the distorted masculine programs running in me. I had to then discover the feminine programs available to me, as we all have done this dance.
Yeah.
Of course, I've had a great advantage because I'm only half a Soulogy. Morgan is the other half. And together we're one. And of course, the third part is the consciousness itself, the Trinity consciousness, or the golden child consciousness that we're all working with, where two or more gather. So that's the plan.
So here's a question. How can you tell when you're getting a message from spirit versus just a mental thought?
Well, I think, you just know.
It's a knowing, yeah.
I
think you said before it would repeat itself.
Yeah.
There would be like a resonation. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I think you do get it back more than once. Sometimes you have a really powerful one that comes in and you just know that's it, boom, I'm done. But like the Soulogy network downloads have come over 5 years, and they've just been like an ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes it helps. Like I remember when the part about the 5D commerce came in, I was in a hotel in Houston by myself, and all this energy came into the room. It was like, like when you do, say, abstract painting, like how they do birds, like when you're in grade school and they're just like that. So it was all a bunch of white ones like that, and it kind of freaked me out. So I called Morgan. She was in Australia. I'm like, "Can you just kind of sit here with me while this is happening?" But I got a distinct um, download about 5D commerce. I had no money.
I've never
I
heard that
was
term before. Yeah.
well. I that's what I don't know if they told me that or that's just what I called it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was interesting because again, you only get given what you need in that moment. Now, in that moment, I had no money. I mean, I literally had probably like maybe $100. I probably had my room paid for maybe 3 times or something, or 3 days in advance. And so when I woke up that morning, I'm typical light worker, no credit, no job, no nothing, nothing. But I had developed enough. We had developed enough through the contributions that we were at least up and down, but we were barely we were making it, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's what businesses are like, right? I mean, doesn't
Yeah,
it take like 5 years for a business to make
I
a
don't know.
profit or something like
No,
that?
I don't know. I never looked at it as a business, but when I woke up the
Yeah.
morning after they came in, I pulled my phone out and I heard and I pulled up whatever, and there was a PayPal ad for a loan, and uh, and I'd probably seen it 100 times, and then I just heard push that button. I thought,
Hmm.
no way. So I pushed the button and went through the process, and they put $3,000 in the account.
Wow.
And they said, how do you want to pay it back? I said, as fast as possible. So 30% of everything that came in from that point on um, went to pay this off,
Yeah.
$3,000. At the same time, I was told to start practicing it, paying it forward. If you had a meal somewhere, give them a 30% tip, and just
Oh,
keep it going. And it
yeah.
worked. So anyway, for the next year and a half, I ran Soulogy on these loans. And I just finished paying. The last one was in March.
Wow.
And so I knew at that point that, okay, now I can launch the network. We'll have enough capital, because I built it up, right?
Hmm.
Built up the loan um, eligibility. But when I went to go there, I was told, no, no more. You have to extract from every part of the matrix. Someone or someone's have to do it. So I didn't apply for a stimulus check. I didn't apply for the loan. And I just was told, if this is going to happen, and it will, you've got to take steps in faith.
Yeah.
And so the next thing I know, because I mean, if I give you an example, uh, we were living in Hawaii. We really struggled. It was very difficult. We were on a small island in Kauai. We did a lot of dimensional work. We got an apartment. We painted it. We thought we were going to be there. There's a waterfall 3 blocks down. The beach is a 15
Yeah.
minute
It's
walk.
everything natural you could possibly want,
Yeah.
right?
But then we're told you got to go to the mainland. We had to borrow money from a friend to get our car shipped over there, which had been gifted to us. Now, this is the reason I'm telling you this is because of the abundance part, that walking in faith part. We didn't know what we were going to do. We barely had $200. And by the time that we arrived in California, which by the way was on August the 8th, Lionsgate at Terminal 5D at LAX. Okay, you can't make this stuff up, right? People had reached out and said, hey, you can come stay in my apartment for 3 days, and you can come over here. I moved out of my apartment. You can stay for 3 weeks. And then it just was like a checkerboard. So we went to California, to Washington State, to Sedona, to Shasta, came by Arkansas to see our friends. We stayed there for 2 weeks. We went to a conference, and somebody gifted us an RV for a month. We rented
Wow.
it very cheaply after that in Florida. And I guess what I'm saying is that everything kept presenting itself in the moment.
Yeah.
And then we ended up over here in where it started in Arkansas, outside of Fort Smith, Arkansas. And we never had a place, and my wife was driving by this place. We'd driven by several times together and separately, and it looked small. And she knocked on the door, and the lady answered the door and said, hello, my name's Morgan Lee. I'll be glad to show you the place. And my wife said, my name's Morgan Lee. And she knew in that moment that this is where we're
How
supposed to be.
weird.
So
How weird.
it's a very, anybody knows anything about Arkansas, it's very inexpensive. So it's very modest, but we're going to make the best of it. And I guess the reason I'm telling you all this is because all of these things have been steps in faith. This new energy, this 5D commerce, does not operate on how much money you have in your savings account, because there is no savings account. We as a collective are going to, by force or flow, be extracted from every single piece of what we know. It's a macrocosm of what we've all gone through on a micro level or are going through. I lost my house, my family, my job, my reputation, my freedom, my everything. And many, many, many other people are going through the same thing around the world. Freedom's being taken away and so on. And it's not about the story, and it's not about let's go protest. It's about what's on the other side of it.
Yeah.
What if I take my focus off of COVID and quarantines and masks and bullshit, and I go to this unseen power that we all share, by whatever name you want to call it, where there is no judgment and there's purity? Does it actually give? Do you actually get what you give?
Yeah.
And it does work that way. That's how the universe works. That's how it works. And part of 5D commerce is equal energy exchanges, which don't always amount to dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that, I mean, just the time that we're in now, I don't know when you could say it would start, maybe just 2020, but I don't know anybody that really feels like normal is happening anymore.
No.
So do you see like light at the end of the tunnel, or, do you have an idea like what we're going through? It was just about what you were just talking about,
Does
that 5D.
Well, what I was told from 2011, okay, from when it happened, started with me. And mine happened like that, literally. I mean, there was a buildup. There was a lot of traumas. There was a lot of stuff going on that a lot of people can relate to: money, sex, marriage, kids, bills, but I was always told, once it flipped, that whatever you do, it can't be something that's been done before. Everything old has to go. So, if you look at, for instance, I'm working with somebody right now on the bridge to get us to the permanent privatized network. I said to him, he says, well, let me help you with this. And it was very organic. That's another key word, I think, in what we're experiencing, is what's organic versus
Yeah, I agree.
program. And so he said to me, I think I can help you here. I said, okay, so here's the information, take a shot, send it to me. And then my wife and I were like, hey, look, we're going to have to work out some kind of equal energy exchange. And he said, look, don't worry about it. Let's create it. That'll work itself out. Now that's new energy. That's not the old capitalistic energy.
Right.
New energy. It's faith. It's trust. Everything outside of us is us. So if I'm suspicious or wary or fearful of anything outside of me, then obviously that's what I am. And that's what I'm going to exude. But if I can have some balls, and I can say there is a God, a goddess, a source, a universe, something bigger than us that we're all part of, that we can.
That's the key, though. People lose sight of that all the time.
I don't think anybody's got it down, because I don't see anybody walking on water.
Yeah.
But I mean, what we can do. You said, what are we going through? And I don't know. I'm just giving you, off the top of my head. But
yeah,
I think it's like, for many of us, the past has handicapped us, whether it be labels we took on, roles we took on,
right.
traumas.
Yeah, because we're attached to it.
Yeah, victims, victimizers, whatever the case is. So we've learned to release that stuff. It's not being separate from us, but not making us who we are in the wrong way. Because in the right way, it did make us who we are.
Yeah.
By the same token, we let go of the future, because how can I be present and productive and efficient and complete if I'm focused on when I get there?
Right.
And all we got to do is look at the basic paradigm in the world, specifically America, because it's rooted here. And that is, go to work somewhere, work for 50 years, you get a retirement. Now you're 70 years old and you're in ill health, and you can't even enjoy the things that you'd want to do in the first place because you're not in a physical condition to do it. And then you get sick, you go to doctors, you spend your retirement on paying medical bills, and then you got to pay for your own funeral to get the hell out of here. What kind of bullshit is that? So we don't have to look very far to see what it's not.
Yeah.
And if it's something new, then it's something new. And if it's something new, then it's not where we came from. It's something new. I hear create your way out. Create your way out.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm homeless and 3 years ago and I'm in New York City and I've got nowhere to go and it's 20 degrees outside, and this is a true story, and I'm at the Trump Tower.
Trump Tower?
Trump Tower. I'm at Trump Tower. I didn't even know Trump. It's the middle of winter, and it's in New York City. And there's all these people there down there looking at the Rockefeller tree and all that. And I'm carrying my luggage through and I said, well, what do you do? Create your way out. Create your way out. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to, start doing some conscious rap here in the subway and maybe put out a jar. Maybe somebody's gonna throw a few bucks in there.
Was there something that happened to you throughout your life that made you more comfortable in following your faith?
Say that again. That made me uncomfortable?
No, that made you more comfortable in following your faith versus following a plan.
Well, I don't know. I think probably it's no different than a lot of people. So you're born, you go to school, you get out of high school, everybody's young and good looking, and and you go into college, or you go into the workforce, you get married, you have kids, and you start to you've bought into it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying in a bad way. Now I went into, I worked my ass off. I made money, lost money, made money, lost money, ended up, getting bought out by a national company, went to work for them for 6 years, went to another one, went into business consulting. So the money, the prestige, the success, the family, everything was there. And now I'm 48, 49 years old, and I'm hanging on physically, mentally, and emotionally, but spiritually, something's going on, Yeah. And what happened was, basically, you get to that point, you achieve all these things, or you're playing these roles or living this life, and you realize that you're empty. And you're serving everybody but yourself.
Yeah, you've lived your life for other people and not what your calling is.
Yeah. So that, and I think because we're born in a time when that's been prophesized by multitudes of religious and philosophical and whatever schools of thought, it's something a little bit more emphasized now. But yeah, so the epiphanies and the revelations, and then of course, when you have these, like many people have had, and it's a lot more commonplace and talked about now, these dimensional experiences, these visitations, these divine episodes, they can make you have some faith.
Yeah.
But at the same time, back in the day anyway, and probably for a lot of people today, you still got to go be human.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You still got to go be human. So, when my thing started, Jesus came in the trees at 1:11 in the morning. His face is in the trees, and we had a conversation. But the next day, I had to get up and
be Todd.
Yeah. And so, how do you do that? It's not an easy deal.
Yeah. Well, let me see what other. So what does 0 point mean to you?
Well, I'm married to the 0 point guru.
Oh, well, you lucked out.
Mm-hmm. and it works like a charm. It does. Look, we're here in this realm, in this experience, and I don't give a damn what religion you were raised, doesn't matter. There is no us and them. There is no black and white. There is no dark and light. There is no difference. Our job here is to own every bit of it.
We're just one one big community. Yeah.
Well, in all ways, moment by moment. There are no exceptions. The universe doesn't look kindly on. If I say to the universe, I accept everything, man. I mean, I accept everything. I can identify with police and Black Lives Matters and people that wear masks and people that don't wear masks and people that get vaccines and people that don't get it and whatever. I can look at every one of those energies one and the same, except for this or that. You can't say I am that. I am made in the image and I am that, but I'm not that and I'm not that one. So our job, if you want to put it that way, is to centralize or zero point these polarities. And that's what it is. And again, I had the luxury of being married to a 0 point. I mean, that's the name of her business, a 0 point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it struck a nerve with me when you said that, because it was like, if I were to follow my anxieties, it would have kept me from doing this. I had to just neutralize everything and just do what my heart was telling me to do.
Correct.
So, I mean, maybe that's what everybody is going through right now. That's what the shift is.
That's what it is. So there was.
I mean, people are holding on to the old one pretty hardcore. I don't see this ending anytime soon.
Well, I think this is the first thing that we all have to hold ourselves accountable for. The very first thing is we have, and this is my opinion. Okay, this is like if I was a doctor, and I'm not. Yeah,
thank you for specifying for the audience.
Somebody came to me and said, "How can I?" And this actually happened to me about 3 weeks ago with one of my kids, who I hadn't talked to a lot, right? And he had a kind of a wake up thing. What can I do? Right. And the interesting thing, I had one about a week ago. Another one called me up and asked me, "How can I do this?" The first thing to me is stop saying everybody, those people aren't awake. Those people.
Oh yeah.
The first thing is
wake up, people.
Take your focus off of other people, because for whatever degree of time you're spending on focusing on other people, whether it's your partner, a family member, a business associate, whatever, you're not spending it on yourself.
Yeah.
The words "to thine own self be true" were written for a reason. When you serve yourself as the divine presence, being, energy that you are, made in the image, you are equally, simultaneously serving the universe, serving the collective. The best thing we can do for this world is to bring ourselves to a higher perfection, is to align ourselves more. And the way you do that, and again, I have the luxury of being married to basically, she's an oracle. She's a shaman. She's downloaded the 0 point process over many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very simple process.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of assuming people can just get there through meditating. I mean,
no, this is where I was going to say it's a simple process, but it's not easy.
Uh-huh.
And the reason it's not easy is because it requires the human to be honest with the brutal honesty of the soul. It requires the human to be present, and it can be somewhat tedious work. I didn't want to do it when I met her.
Yeah.
Now, when she came to Houston, or she came to the U.S., we went to Houston, stayed at a relative's house for 4 days. I didn't have the type of downloads that she'd had for 20 years, and I didn't have them for as long. I had all these divine episodes, and I'm like all over the place, and I'm running off of energy. I'm running off of just determination and initiative.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing videos long before most people were, right? So it was kind of like I just jumped out there. But I didn't have the level of intelligence in terms of clarity. So she comes in the door. She says, "Hey, you got some shadow." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Why are you picking on me?" So we had a little, 4 or 5 days of that, and and then, but I loved her, and I knew it from the beginning that this was something going on here,
Yeah.
you know. And so she said to me, "You need to, you, you need to do something. I've come all the way over here, and we've got work to do." I mean, this is a person, like many women, probably even on this listening, that had downloaded the Ascension, that had downloaded what's going on, that had downloaded specific galactic history and all this stuff. So she wasn't just looking at it as like, oh, I like this guy and let's see if we can give it a go. This was more like, hey, this is missions within the mission, within the mission, within the mission. So she said to me, you got shadowed and all that. And finally, I relented. I said, okay, what do you want me to do? She said, I want you to go make a list of all your failures. I said, okay, I can do that. So I went and made a list. There's about 15 of them on there. I took them into the room and said, here you go. She goes, no, that's not it. So then I went back and I made a list of 136 items. It took me 4 or 5 hours. As I was doing the list, as I was being honest with myself, my whole third eye starts to explode. I start to see from a higher awareness. I start to cry. I start to let go. I start to forgive. I start to heal. And then it just went on from there. And I learned something. I learned that we're an energy field.
Yeah.
There's certain attachments. I'm not talking about demons and then I'm talking about this is all self-made. And it's not just about this life, which makes it kind of complicated or hard to understand. It's stuff that we carried in from previous incarnations or even from ancestral lineage. So another example, just to try to explain that what that means. Before she came back the second time, I was traveling around and these women would hit on me. And I would tell them, and they knew I was in love with Morgan, and still they hit on me. And I got really pissed off about it because I wasn't interested. I was absolutely dedicated to what my potential relationship was with her and to her. And so one night it kind of blew up and I called her on the phone and I said, I'm on the streets again. And I've left the place I was at because these women are bothering me. And she said, no, you need to go back. Number one, because I'm coming to see you in a week. And, number two, you need to understand. And she had told me this before. She said, you need to understand it's active in your field. And I said, no, it's not. I resisted just like I did when she first introduced zero pointing to me. I said, no, it's not. And she said, yeah, it is.
What's active in your field?
These women coming on to me.
Meaning like you're a part of the problem.
Yes.
It's not all their fault.
No,
yeah.
I'm not part of the problem. I am the problem.
Oh, you're the whole problem. Okay.
So that I know self be true, right? I mean, so I said to her, okay, fine, I'll do it. So I went and said, I'm not coming on to women, but they're coming on to me. So I can own this end of the polarity. I can own the fact that I'm not promiscuous. Right?
Yeah.
But can I own the fact that promiscuousness is active in me? That would take some work, right? So think about any polarity. Think about, okay, say for yourself, I'm a nice guy. I'm not mean. That person's mean. Am I mean? No. Merging the polarity, zero pointing is owning both.
Oh, I see.
So active in me, there was something active in me. There was a program acting in me. And it doesn't mean I was out doing anything or trying to be promiscuous. It wasn't. But it was active in me and it was still running. So when I zero pointed the polarity of fidelity and infidelity, boom, I'm done. I haven't had it happen since.
Wow.
So that's an example of zero point. Zero point is much deeper than I think we all thought.
Yeah.
But again, I have the advantage because I'm with her.
Well, yeah, the term resonated with me because our society, American culture, is so divided into left and right, and I have that. I feel like every time I have a conversation these days, it breaks up into left and right. Conservative, liberal, that type of thing, and the term 0 point for me, it was like, well, where can we find some common ground, right in the middle where we can actually talk and work together. So then I kind of had the idea that if I could encompass the extremes of both sides and then kind of sift my way into the core, there might be some fruit there, that actually, can get us some places.
Exactly. And how
So,
do you do that? See, this is back to where I think we're all, well, it's not where we're going. It's a done deal. Like we don't have a choice. You can't say I am made in the image, I am that, and divorce yourself from any aspect of that. Right. So I guess what I'm saying is we're going there. That's it. To me, that's the ascension. Morgan calls it growing up. So my point is this: if you have, say, a political issue, all right, first of all, most of the stuff that we're sitting here debating about is on the superficial level.
yeah, it really is.
Okay. What's beneath it? Like, for instance, imperialism. How the hell, look, I'm not an American. I am a universal citizen. I am an Earth citizen.
Yeah.
I am not an American. I do not recognize a border anywhere in this universe or this Earth. Okay. The minute I do, I am the separation.
Yeah, you become separate when
I am the separation. I am not going to create unity by trying to convince this side of the issue or that side of the issue or anyone involved in either side of the issue. I am not going to create unity by that. I'm going to create unity by creating unity in myself by using what you're calling, and Morgan calls 0 point.
Yeah.
That's our contribution. That's how we can best potential, maximize our potential in our contribution to the collective.
Lead by example, really, more than pointing people like, you should do that and we'll do this, and then we won't argue. Yeah.
Who are you trying to convince, yourself or the other person? See, the most important communication we receive from the universe, I'm convinced, it's just my opinion, is what comes out of our mouths and what goes on in our head, our judgments. I may be talking about you or I may be talking about me, but whatever I'm saying applies to me. If I say, oh, that guy's greedy, what, and I'm not?
Yeah.
I've never been in my life. I don't consider myself a mean person. But when I did this 0 point work, I one of the things she does is make a list. Make a list of all of the negative things about your mother, let's just say.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this last time we talked. Yeah. Keep going
now. Put your name there.
Yeah.
Now see what happens to your body. Your body is pure consciousness, just like the rest of your body's etheric and not, right? I mean, it's going to respond.
It's like an alchemical trick.
Absolutely.
Almost. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I noticed after we had that conversation, I noticed that I was doing that to my parents. That's just and when you said turn the mirror around and
turn it around,
and I was like,
like, who are your parents? Who are you? Think about it. Morgan always says, your mother is Mother Universe, your father is Father God. When you're born and you're a baby, that's your existence.
Right.
So even if you're left by one of them or one wasn't present or you're adopted, just whatever, it still applies. Now, who are your parents? Your parents are just people. They just happen to be your parents. Okay. So why the hell are we holding anyone up to standards that we don't hold ourselves to? Because every one of us has a narcissistic frequency built inside of us, each and every one of us, where it's okay for them, but not for me, or it's okay for me and not for them. Right. So whoever you're talking about, whatever you're talking about, look, this is ridiculous. Going back to imperialism, back to nationalism. How in the hell, look, America, for instance, okay, and I'm not knocking America because I could point to many different ones, but that seems to be front and center right now because everybody's on the bandwagon of what's being put out there. So if you look at America as a family, okay, what do families do? Trauma comes, and they sweep it under the rug, and they say, let's keep going. What's your problem? Anyone that talks about it, what's your problem? Right? So what's America like? So what you want to just say everybody's fucking equal today? But what happened to our relatives that were Indians
Right.
or that were black or
Yep.
Hispanic or even white? It's not even about color. It's about the people that got screwed. So I'm not getting caught up in the story. What I'm trying to say is, if you look at America as a family or even as your own composition,
Yeah.
how can you be aligned? How can you be on a trajectory going towards a greater perfection? Because it never stops. It's never perfected. It's got an ing. You're not ascended, you're ascending,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But how can you begin to heal? How can you further heal?
Right.
You don't bring those things up and love them and recognize them and embrace them and transform them.
Right.
How can you do that? You can't,
Huh.
you know?
Well, I mean, probably the first good step is to accept that you have that thing that you think is outside of yourself that needs to change.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest fear that we have is, and I know this sounds a little cliche, it's the fear of our own power.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm in a, you know, I'm in a, like all of us, there's missions within the missions within the mission. And maybe that's not the right word, purpose, meaning, whatever. I'm in a relationship, an extraordinary relationship. This relationship, some people look at it and go, oh my God, these people are living a sexy romantic fairy tale. And we are. But this relationship involves every single multidimensional aspect that we've ever recognized or come into connection with individually and together. But it also includes every single multifaceted aspect of our human experience, all the trauma, all the pain, all the judgment, all the oppression, all the victimization, everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the whole kit and caboodle, and that's what we're looking at. There's an old saying in the Christian in Western religion: God doesn't create junk. So we all have work to do, and we can all contribute to a better world and a better universe, which is what we're doing. Not because there's anything wrong with it, because we set it up this way.
Right.
We said, look, we're sitting here in perfection. We're all stars. There's the perfect amount of illumination, the perfect sound and music, and we're all sitting here going, and then somebody said, hey, well, why don't we push the envelope? Why don't we create a more expansive this? How do you do that? The same thing you're doing. You're sitting here, if you look at yourself as an energetic body, you have this nudge. And what happens when the soul nudges you? When the soul nudges you, it's not going to stop, right? It just keeps nudging you, and your stomach starts to turn and you start to get anxious and all this stuff happens. And we're in an environment now where the energy is supporting our
Yeah. It's
courage.
amplified.
Yeah, it's supporting our courage. So what happens if you're an energetic body and you're that star? You're sitting there going, this is my existence. This is my known existence. You can also call it your comfort zone. Now, what happens if I go against the grain of my family, of society, of whatever, but I serve my soul? My soul says, pick up a microphone, turn on the camera, and go for it. Right?
Apparently
What
that's what it said.
happens? That's right. And what happens? You begin to expand. Does that mean it's going to be peaches and
Yeah.
cream every day? Does
But
that mean you're not
no,
going to get pushback? No. But
but it
what
made me step
happens
into
is
something. It made me step into something new.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's always reciprocated, and now it's reciprocated more instantly and more with more extremity. So if you don't listen, you're going to get hit in the head with a cosmic 2x4. If you do listen, you're going to see a higher level of abundance. They're both abundance. Okay. Dark and what we might call dark and light, or whatever you want to call it, the two polarities are going down the road at the same parallel. One's just, let go or be dragged. One's ease and grace, and one is,
control based, maybe. Yeah.
Well, one's a bloody ride.
Yeah.
One's more painful. So, I woke up this morning. I woke up this morning and I know something's been going on. Everybody knows something's been going on. I mean, it's all been going on all year. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking about all this stuff. I wrote this, and I don't do a lot of writing anymore, but I am so FKN tired of playing small. It's time to level the fuck up. Who's with me? The human is the hero. I am soul. Now that might sound like somebody's projecting, and I'm not saying I'm not. But what I am saying is this: I'm tired of this. I'm tired of waiting.
Yeah.
You call me up and you say, "Hey, I want to go do this, but this is this." And I said, "Hey, you know what? Shit or get off the pot." And that's what you're doing. Or I should say shift or get off the pot. Excuse me.
Shift.
So this is what I'm saying. Don't let anything hold you back. Why? Because you're only going to be Richard once. I'm only going to be Todd once, unless there's something we don't know about. But I'm not willing to take that chance. There was an old post that was going around Facebook when I first got a computer in 2014, and I was able to actually see things, because on the flip phone you couldn't see nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Just put in your thing, push post, you're done. And it was a what do you call it? A hospice or palliative care, where people go to die, right? And over a 5-year period, they had these nurses that interviewed or asked, surveyed or whatever the people.
Mm-hmm.
What are the 5 things that you regret? The number one thing was basically serving, giving my power away, serving others at the expense of myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not following my dreams, however you want to put
achieving
it.
what they want you to achieve rather than,
yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, I think we are the most, and I know I'm biased, but I think the earth is, in this moment, in this spaceless time and timeless space, in this moment, in this blink of an eye that we're all sharing, I think is the most extraordinary moment in multiversal history.
It seems like it. I mean, I can't compare it to anything else that I've experienced, even though I'm still, only like 32 years old. But
well, that's the thing, you don't know. Just like I don't know. We could be, like it is, like when you take a hit of acid. I could be, a raindrop on a leaf, or one little atom on a raindrop in a leaf, and that's existing for 0.2 seconds. You don't know. So somebody show me pure evidence that when we leave this body, boom, there we go. Now we've all had our dimensional experiences and we've had our out of body experiences and all that, but how do you really know?
Yeah, but no one really knows what happens after death.
This is eternity. This is timelessness. We created this incredible realm, this incredible game where we erased our memories. Nobody did anything to us, right?
That we didn't allow, or agree to, maybe.
But I mean, nobody came in. Who's going to F with God? You're going to tell me that now in the physical narrative, was there an earth that was created, and let's say that the guardians of the earth got implanted with some ego, and then all this stuff happens, Illuminati, cabal, this is all that? Maybe so, but that's the story. That story is no different than your own story.
Yeah, and that's still divine, because
of course it is.
It's the contrast is helping people realize what is really divine, I guess.
Yeah, we've had in a couple thousand shows, we've had a number of people come in. Franco Di Nicola would be the first one to come to my mind. But even going back 2 years ago, channelers, we've had quite a few people, I'd say 12, 15 people in this time, that have tapped in at some level or another. and said that there are millions of souls, if not billions, lining up to come to Earth for this experience and opportunity. Now, to the human aspect, you're like, what the hell's wrong with them? They have no idea what they're getting into.
Yeah.
But from a higher perspective, imagine that.
It must be incredibly valuable to be
Absolutely.
here. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it doesn't just serve you and me and all our brothers and sisters in the earth. It serves every timeline and every dimension.
It would be so much easier if you knew what you were before you were born. You know, maybe some people know that, but I don't really have any recollection of what I was before I was born.
Look, Franco is probably one of the top 1, 2, 3 people in terms of like that type of memory, in my opinion, that I've come across.
Wow.
He's got memory of the womb forward.
Wow.
He had a twin that died at birth that he remembers conversing with.
Wow.
He has memory of full life incarnations on several planets. Now, I've known Franco for a couple of years, and I have all the respect in the world for him. He's dear, dear, dear to me. My wife and I both have had dimensional experiences with him. My point is this: he's still human. When I met Franco a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, he was like a lot of people that are connected like that, very much out there, not identifying with the human.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've seen him as a representation of all of us become more human, become more, reverent of the human aspect. We're conscious 99% of the time here, theoretically, with less than 1% of our aspect. There's a reason for that. The universe teaches in a paradoxical manner. Everything is upside down. What we think is the lowest, the densest, the dumbest, the
has been created by the highest and the most divine.
Yeah, but what we think is the low end of the totem pole is actually the top. Okay.
With maybe just an incorrect perspective.
Well, I mean, we designed this realm to forget everything.
Yeah.
So you said, okay, what if I knew I was, what if I knew
I was a slave in a past life? I feel like you'd be like,
or like, what if I knew that before this incarnation, let's say I had 100 human incarnations, and before that I was in Pleiades, and before that I was in Sirius, and before that I was in Andromeda, and you had memory of all that stuff and the whole history and what would you do here? Would you go to extreme emotions? Would you worry when you went homeless for 2 years, Todd? No. What would you do? It wouldn't be as intense. So therefore it wouldn't be as contrasting, and therefore it wouldn't have as much potential. We have huge etheric universal balls, all of us, to come here. We do. We really do. And it's time we start to give ourselves some credit. And like I said this morning, it's time to level up. And that means we're not small.
Yeah.
We're not any different than we are. This is me. And I'm not saying but we are different than the archangels and the angels and the star family. Okay. And the elemental nature being, okay. Why? Because we're the ones down here doing the work. Right? We're the ones down here anchoring in all of those aspects of ourselves in the universe, and having to walk two worlds and be human at the same time and make sense of it.
Right.
Because we did wipe our memories out. We're the ones down here doing it. And I say that with pride and equality to all those aspects that I mentioned and those that I didn't, including the devils and the demons, all of it.
Right. Right.
But it's time that, and this is, if you look at a lot of the narratives about what's going on in the world, what's been the entire objective? It hasn't been about control. It's been about keeping the truth from ourselves. So we're like the dog that chases its tail. and then bites the tail and realizes it was him all along.
Yeah.
You look at some of these, many of these civilizations.
You're saying you could do that with your shadows.
Well, you
Yeah.
realize that it's you all along.
Yeah.
So I went through a major, again, I walked this path of expansion with this incredible divine feminine, and we complement each other. And so much of the stuff that goes on is I can't even talk about it. But about 10 days ago, I went through this thing where I finally got to the point where I surrendered totally to the goddess, to the mother goddess.
Mm.
I personally believe God's a woman. Okay.
Okay.
Now people say, oh, well, God doesn't have a gender. Well, I get all that. But if God has a gender, God is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
The universe is a womb, right? So I
Right.
finally got to this point after whatever. And I just looked at her. I said, as she is the representative, as she is the physical representation. So as I'm saying this, I'm saying it to the entire universe, to the mother goddess and everything, Mother Mary, Magdalene, everything. I said, I surrender in totality.
Mm.
And in that moment, something happened. So a couple nights go by, and I'm laying next to her, and I feel merging, like physical merging. And it wasn't the first time, but it was the most intense time. I could feel organ to organ, heart to heart, skin to skin, bone to bone. And then I look, and she's not there.
Huh.
And I heard basically giggles, and I heard, and I said, where is she? What? There is no, it's all you. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying, is that this is what was constructed, was the objective was for as long as possible to keep us from knowing thyself, basically. To how can you say made in the image and take any shortcuts? Show me a species in the universe that has a baby that's different than the parent. So if the parent's immortal and unlimited and omniscient, why would the child be any different?
Yeah.
It wouldn't. The only thing that tells us it wouldn't is all the conditioning programs and bullshit that we've
Appearances.
created.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited and intrigued, and like everybody else, just trying to maintain my balance, because whether it's Franco or you or me or Morgan or anyone, we're still human and we're still figuring this stuff out.
Yeah. One step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be alive right now as well. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow or tonight in a few hours.
No,
it seems like things are changing so quickly. You never know what can happen in a few hours. So
it's, I think the biggest thing, we spent so much time being hard on ourselves, and it's a lot of work what we're doing. But for myself, I catch myself, like if I think about Morgan, she's the closest thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do different? What can I do different? How can I make our life better? How can I make her life better, my life better? What did I miss? This is the kind of thinking that we all came through, that we were not enough. And that's why this morning it's like, it's time to level up. I'm tired of playing small.
Yeah.
That's an energetic imprint. And we're energy. And I think you've got to speak that shift into existence. And that's just where we're at. Because we're not all that, and we're not all this down here. We're both.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
The meeting point. Yeah. We're the meeting point.
We're the zero point. We're the 0 point.
There you go.
That's what we are. That's it. So
well,
2 hours later, we answer your question.
Is that how long we've been talking?
I'm kidding. We've been on, I don't even know, because we started like an hour and a half.
Yeah. All right.
So good. I'm glad you got your feet wet. I'll be glad to help you any way that I can with
Yeah.
what limited time I have, but you pretty much got it figured out when I walked you through it. Just when you fill out the form, first of all, don't fill it out 10 minutes before you go on.
I thought maybe that we were going to have you do it first.
I know.
Yeah.
I did it. I believe me, I did it. And I still do it sometimes, but you can fill it out the night before. Okay.
And if you can send them like invites, if you get their email address and.
Yeah. But what I do, okay, so you set it up. All right. Fill it out. Make sure you have the video on and the things that you learned today. Right. And then click it. And then when you click it, you go to the bottom of the page and you just left click on the link and it'll copy to your clipboard. Then I would go to Facebook, YouTube,
and just share it
and put it out and announce it. The only other thing I'll tell you is if you're going to be, and for anybody out there that's going to be streaming to YouTube or Facebook, you have to, and you're using Zoom, you have to clear your history. I clear my history before every show, because if you don't,
history on Zoom or
the history on your computer, because if you clear the cache, because if you don't do it, there's some kind of flaw in Zoom that it won't go through.
Okay.
So other than that, that's about all I can think of.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I hope to talk to you again soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm here.
And you'll see me around. I got a guest coming not tomorrow, but the day after, and she's an acupuncturist, and I met her in acupuncture school. It should be pretty fun.
Just keep going, man. Don't stop. Just keep going. And
well, I appreciate the support. It's a lot easier to keep going when you have someone kind of, nudging you a little bit. So,
yeah. Well, I didn't nudge you. I just told you shift or get off the pot.
Well, your energy helped me get going,
I'm kidding. I'm joking with you, but but yeah, the reason I say that is because I'm not doing anything. You're doing it. And that's the truth for all of us, which is another thing I learned from my wife. I've got to say this. I'd always tell her, why didn't you tell me? Right? Like, why didn't you tell me that? And I could have gotten to that point way back then. And she said, why would I want to take that away from you?
Yeah. Of learning the lesson and realizing it.
And like you said earlier about the whole learning thing is, how do you learn? You learn from the experience, the knowing. Nobody can give that to you. So you're killing it, man.
The other cat wants to say hi.
Man, I dig the cats. I have total respect for the Lyrians, man. They've been with me since I left in October 2016. Everywhere I go, we got two back here. We got two wild cats back here.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And so we're feeding them.
Yeah.
They must be getting comfortable because I went downstairs last night and they were just lounging in the garage, and they usually won't even come in the garage, especially if I'm around.
Yeah.
Because they're scared. But,
yeah, these cats are begging me for food right now, so I'm going to go feed them.
Go feed them.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.
Okay, man. Take care.
All right. See you, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.